guys, how's it going? Night Owl here. Welcome back to my Hoot Crew. Guys, forgive the hoodie today. It is absolutely freezing outside. It is -10, feeling like -18 because of the wind chill. We got another couple inches of snow last night. And it's just, my heat's on 75 and I am still freezing. So let's just get into the video. So the hoodie I'm wearing, just in case you haven't seen it, it is my Hungry Trophy Trooper hoodie. Go and follow him on YouTube. I will leave his link in the description. He is an awesome, awesome gamer. Awesome guy. Irish gaming beast. So, on to the video again. Okay, so today is my reading of the Share Jesus Without Fear. I apologize for not having a video up yesterday, but it was such a busy day. It was Royal Rumble Day, so I had to come home and watch that after Bible study and everything else. So I had a really busy day yesterday. So let's get into this. Now, right now, I am going to be reading part 15 on page 96 of the book Share Jesus Without Fear by William Fay. And it says, you know, this is about all the objections or excuses or reasons that people have not to give their heart to Christ. And these are the different ways that William has approached it, or other people he is known to have approached it. This one is, I'm Jewish. Now, the person says, when someone says, I can't believe in Jesus, I ask why. For you see, the issue is not whether he can or can't, it's whether he will or will not. For when it comes to the whole issue of Jesus, is Josh McDowell, the author of More Than a Carpenter, points out the fact that we have only three choices. He says Jesus is either Lord, a liar, or a lunatic. The first thing I do with the Jewish person is try to find out if he or she is culturally Jewish, or religiously Jewish. I ask, do you go to a synagogue? Most of the time, I get a no for an answer. Then I say, believe Jesus is the Christ, who he claimed to be. I know he is not a liar because he has never sinned. He obviously is not a lunatic because his life and teachings show he was brilliant, stable, and loving towards others. Therefore, I can only believe that he is Lord. For in his own words, I and the Father are one, and that is in John 10:30. Also, the Jews of the day clearly know who Jesus claimed to be, because when he said in John 8:58, before Abraham was born, I am, they picked up stones to kill him. The Jews knew he was quoting God to Moses, and when God said, I am who I am, this is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. And that's in Exodus 3:14. I like to point out Christ's identity. It is a great way to take this big issue and turn it into a smaller denominator. If we can establish that Jesus is truly Jehovah God, the rest comes easy. If we meet a Jewish person who is religiously Jewish, the first thing I do is remind him that Judaism is the root of my Christianity. Of course, the difficult points for Jews are first, believing Jesus is the Messiah, and second, that he rose from the dead. Now, a lot of people don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. A lot of people believe that he was just a prophet or he was just a man, and that the other thing too, that Jesus didn't rise from the grave, but he did, because in the grave he was in is empty. And people are, they moved the body, they did whatever, but there's a lot of everything that they've done, even scientists and scholars, everything have proven that he did rise from the dead. If I say, if either of these points were true, would you consider having a personal relationship with Jesus to complete your Jewishness? Often, I invite the Jewish person to visit a Messianic congregation This way, the worship will seem familiar, and he will hear the testimony of other Jewish people who found Jesus to be the true Messiah. Remember when I asked my friend if he went to a synagogue anywhere? That's because I want to make the distinction as whether I am talking with a cultural Jew or a practicing Jew. If I am talking to a practicing Jew, I continue the presentation at the point by asking, have you ever wondered about the fact that Jesus claimed to be God? Then I take him to Isaiah 53 and have him read verses 1 to 12 aloud. And this is what it says. Who has believed our message? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we consider him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, and was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to slaughter, and as a sheep before the shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. And who can speak of his descendants? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was stricken. He was assigned a grave, and the wicked with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will see the offspring and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light and be satisfied. By his knowing my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong. Because he poured out his life unto death, he was numbered with the transgressors. But he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Wow, that is powerful. Knowing what Jesus went through, he took on every single punishment that we could ever have had done to us, and took it upon himself. So here he turns back to the Jewish guy, and he says, I ask him, what do you think this describes? I also ask, why do you think many synagogues refuse to read this chapter of Isaiah? Then I ask another question that is difficult yet though thought-provoking. Do you know why the sacrifices have stopped in the temple? I wait for the answer and then continue. Could it be because Jesus is God's sacrificial lamb? So yeah, they used to do, if you read the Bible, you hear a lot about sacrifices and sacrificing lambs and cows and everything else. But they don't do that anymore because Jesus was that final sacrifice from God. I don't push my goal to have a warm, friendly discussion that will lead to other discussions. If he indicates an interest in learning more, I invite him to meet with a local Messianic pastor, sorry about my stuttering, who is far more of an Old Testament expert than I. A fellow Jew will be very sensitive to my friend's culture and feelings. When it comes to sharing Christ with someone of Jewish faith, I see myself as a qualifier, a filter, and I am free to turn over my friend to an expert. Should you feel free as well to call upon local Jewish pastor or other Jewish believer for help, do it. You know, if you know someone that has been in like a certain religion that this person you're talking to is in, and you want to refer them to this other pastor, do that, because then that will help them. A pastor can relate to them more and understand what they're going through and what's going through their mind. If I determine my friend does not attend a synagogue and is what I call a secular Jew, then I take him through the same scriptures about Christ found in the response to objection 2. Cults are the answer. So no, cults are not the answer. That is not what he's saying. He's saying this is objection 2 because a lot of people think that these cults are the answer. So I'm going to quickly read number 16. And it says sometimes, like the 16 is, I am not a sinner. And sometimes when you are sharing the Share Jesus scriptures and you turn to Romans 3:23, for all have sinned, your friend may respond by saying something like this. I have committed sins. I've never murdered, stolen, or done other dramatic things that are obviously sin. But don't argue or try to explain the sin. Instead, turn to Matthew 22, verse 37, and read it aloud. Love the Lord with all your heart, and have them read it, not you, but love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. Have you ever loved God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Your friend will most likely say no. And you will answer, that's what sin is. So it's a tough one, you know, because sin is, like I said in the last video, sin is sin is sin. You know, there's no gray area on it. It's just black and white. It is sin. So anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. It's a lot to think about. So, you know, if you need to email me to ask me any questions, my email is thenighteowl258@gmail.com. You can check me on my Instagram at thenighteowl258. You can find me on Twitter at skatermom36. So, you know, take care, everybody. Please make sure to hit that red subscribe button, the bell icon next to it, and please leave a thumbs up on your way out. God bless everybody. Bye.